I was just 2 signatures away from finalizing a $5.2 million commercial real estate deal in downtown Boise when my assistant buzzed in. "Ben, there's Seps a call for you, someone named Marissa, a wedding planner." That caught me off guard. I wasn't involved in any weddings. "Patch her through," I said, setting my pen down. A moment later, a calm voice came on the line. "Hi, Mr. Kerr. This is Marissa Langston. I stemp coordinating the Jefferson Raines wedding." That name clicked. My brother-in-law, Caleb. He was marrying some social media influencer. I'd only met twice. "Right, what's this about?" I asked. She hesitated, flipping through papers. "I was asked to inform you, there's been a change to the guest list. Specifically, your name Sip's been removed." I frowned. "Removed? From attending?" "Yes, sir. The bride Sep's family felt it would be best if you didn't come." I let that sink in for a moment. Did my wife ask for that? "The instruction came from her parents," she said awkwardly. I looked down at the contract in front of me. The numbers blurred for a second. 6 months ago, I had quietly wired $42,000 to help fund that very wedding. I'd overheard my sister-in-law crying over the tight budget, so I covered the venue, catering, DJ, and flowers. No questions, no conditions, just help. "Why tell me now?" I asked. "They didn't want things to get uncomfortable," she replied. "And they said your contribution was a generous gift with no strings attached." I closed my eyes and exhaled slowly. "Marissa," I said evenly, "send me a complete list of your vendors, names, contact info, and invoices." May I ask why?" "Just do it, please." I ended the call. For a moment I just sat there, staring at the 2 stacks of paper on my desk, one detailing my biggest career deal, the other representing the realization that my own in-laws had erased me from an event I'd helped pay for. I leaned forward, cracking my knuckles. I already had a hunch about those vendors. Over the past 7 years, I'd built a wide business network across Idaho. My company, Crosswind Properties, didn't just own buildings. We managed service contracts, logistics, and staffing. And if I was right, they were about to learn what it cost to cut me out. I hit the intercom. "Tell legal I need 10 minutes. A few minutes later, the vendor list arrived in my inbox. I opened the PDF and began scanning line by line. First on the list, Bloomwell Designs, the florist. They leased their warehouse through my company. Next, Mesa Table Events, catering. They used a kitchen space rented from one of my logistics subsidiaries. Then Seven Forks Supply, tents and decor. I'd quietly bought them out last year. Even the valet service looked familiar. Finally, I reached the venue, Cedar Point Estate. I froze. We had closed that deal last quarter through a holding company. It was mine. I owned the land. The wedding they didn't want me at was being held on my property, using my vendors, under my contracts. I stood, grabbed my phone, and called Joanna, my head of legal. "Loop everyone in," I said. "Full contract review. I want to know what levers we can pull." 20 minutes later, my legal team and operations managers filled the boardroom. Joanna flipped through the paperwork. "All vendors are under standard terms," she said. 21 days SIP notice required for opt-out. No refunds if canceled within that window. Cedar Point included? She nodded. Same terms, full discretion. I leaned back, the room suddenly feeling colder. So, if I canceled today, they still be left scrambling with less than 3 weeks? Technically, yes, Joanna said carefully. But Ben, that Sip's your wife Sip's family. You still be wrecking their wedding. I turned to the window overlooking the city. All clean lines and glass towers. They are the ones who erased me, I said quietly. All I did was build the foundation. Joanna sighed. It's not illegal, but it will be loud. I said I'm not after quiet. I replied. My operations head smirked. Expect some PR blowback. They one set go public, I said flatly. They set have to admit what they did. He nodded. Fair point. I looked down at the contracts. Every vendor under my control. Every term written in my favor. They hadn't just excluded me. They had done it while standing on the very network I built. Proceed, I said. Notify every vendor. Official withdrawal letters by end of day. All of them? Joanna asked. All of them, I confirmed. Let them feel what it sits like to be dismissed without warning, without respect. She hesitated, then closed her folder. Understood. They filed out, leaving me alone. My pulse was steady, no anger, just focus. They thought I wouldn't notice. They thought I didn't matter. They were wrong. I texted my assistant. Draft internal operation reclaim. Start with 7 forks. The first cancellation went out at 9:12 a.m. By noon, every contract had been terminated. Florals, catering, valet, tents, sound crew, even the estate manager. At 1 o'clock, my assistant peeked in. Just confirming, we SEP officially shut down a wedding. I didn't set look up, not shut down, I said. Reclaimed. She gave a low whistle. That SIP's one expensive statement. Notifications flooded my phone. Emails, missed calls, messages. My wife texted once. What are you doing? No greeting, no apology. I didn't reply. By afternoon, her brother's fiancé posted something on Instagram. Some people would rather destroy than be decent. Her followers flooded the comments with sympathy. I stayed silent. By 5, my father-in-law called. Twice I let it ring. The third time, I answered. You've lost your mind, he snapped. You've ruining your own family SEP's wedding. You mean the family that told a planner not to invite me? That was a misunderstanding. Yeah, I said. One you never corrected. You're unstable. Then you shouldn't have taken my money. I hung up. Soon after, my mother-in-law left a tearful voicemail, saying she didn't raise her daughters to be caught in business battles. But this wasn't war. It was balance. They wrote the rules when they accepted my money and cut me out. I was just enforcing the fine print. By the next day, coordinators and relatives were panicking. The wedding was collapsing. No venue, no vendors, no supplies. I locked every related asset. Nothing moved without my approval. By Friday, the event was in shambles. I waited. Someone always came back. 2 days later, my receptionist buzzed in. Ben, your wife SEP's family is here. All of them. Send them up, I said. They entered as a group, her father leading, face red with anger. What the hell are you doing? I stayed seated and projected the vendor contracts on the wall, every opt-out clause highlighted in yellow. I'm doing exactly what the contracts allow, I said. He stepped forward, but my wife held him back. You're destroying our wedding out of spite, he shouted. No, I replied. I set them enforcing boundaries, something none of you have respected. Her sister spoke up. This isn't set fair. You blindsided us. My wife stayed silent, pale, watching me like she didn't recognize who I was. I clicked to the next slide. Their family group chat. One message circled. Use Ben's money. He won't notice. My wife turned to her father. You said no one talked about this behind my back. He didn't respond. Her sister murmured. We didn't think he's set to react like this. I didn't react, I said calmly. I responded. So now we sort of the bad guys? She shot back. You steer not bad, I said. Just careless users. Silence filled the room. Then my team entered. Joanna, ops lead, and my assistant, placing a folder on the table. My wife finally spoke. Why didn't you talk to me first? I didn't think you were listening, I said. Her sister crossed her arms. This is all a power play. Maybe, I replied, but it's SIP's mine. I built the foundation you sit are all standing on, and I said I'm done, letting you pretend otherwise. Her father rubbed his face. Jesus, Ben. I stood, walked to the head of the table, and slid the folder towards Celeste the bride. Your choice, I said. This or nothing. But if this wedding happens, it goes through me. She didn't touch it. Her mother said quietly, maybe we need a day to think. No, I said. You had a day when you cut me out. My wife didn't speak, didn't defend them, or me. She just watched the room shift, realizing I wasn't just the silent man in the background anymore. The next morning, Celeste showed up at Crescent Bay Lodge alone. No entourage, no fiancé, just her, in jeans and a windbreaker. Her hair was pulled back, like she didn't want to be recognized. A smart move. We met in the north atrium. Vaulted glass ceilings, polished oak, and wide views of the water. One of my favorite properties, quietly exclusive. Even billionaires get turned away here, yet they always try to come back. Celeste's eyes moved slowly across the room. This is yours? I nodded. Flagship. I led her into a side conference room and handed her the portfolio I'd prepared. No fluff, just facts. Vendor lists, bank transfers, group chat screenshots, and finally a timeline. Their timeline. Every favor, every lie, every time they used my name without permission, laid out in sequence. Celeste flipped through the binder without speaking, her nails tapping the edge. They told me you didn't care to come, she said quietly. I wasn't invited, I replied. That sep's not the same. She didn't argue. I walked to the glass wall and looked out over the Pacific, stretching far past the cliffs. You once asked if I cared about family. I said, I do, but I care more about being respected. She closed the binder slowly. How much of this wedding industry do you actually control? Before I could answer, the door burst open. Her parents. Her mother stormed in, furious. This is completely inappropriate. You have no right to. I turned toward the wall screen and pressed the remote. Crosswind's organizational chart filled the room. Color-coded, real-time data. Every vendor, property, and holding company under my control. My world, displayed in full. Her father stopped, mid-sentence. Celeste came here by choice. I said calmly. No one forced her. Her mother turned to her. You don't need to sit through this, honey. Let's go. But Celeste didn't move. I stepped aside, so she could see the screen. This isn't about revenge, I said. It's about respect. Something your family talks about, but rarely shows. Her father scoffed. So this is you showing off? No, I said evenly. This is me showing proof. Celeste stood, but didn't leave. She stepped closer to the screen, eyes scanning the branches of my network. Her mother tried again. Celeste, please? But she pulled her arm away, still looking at the display, like it was rewriting everything she'd been told about me. They made it sound like you were just a guy with a checkbook, she murmured. Like you were lucky to be included. I didn't respond. The silence was answer enough. She turned toward me. I need time. Take it, I said. But don't take too long. Weddings don't plan themselves. Her parents tried to coax her out, voices low now, but she was already halfway to the door. I watched her leave, then turned back to the glowing chart. My empire, built from the ground up. None of it given, all of it earned. They could twist the story however they wanted, but they couldn't ignore what was now 10 feet tall in front of them. 2 days later we met again, this time at Crosswind's main boardroom. A long glass table, skyline views, espresso waiting. Her father entered first, trying to look confident, but failing. Her mother followed, clinging to politeness. My wife stayed quiet, arms folded, expression unreadable. Celeste came in last, and didn't sit right away. Her father cleared his throat. All right, we talked. Reached a compromise. You attend the wedding, we bring back the vendors. And that SIP's the end of it. Clean slate. I leaned back and let out a sharp laugh. It echoed through the room. He flinched. There is no slate to clean, I said. You erased it when you decided I didn't set matter. Let sets not reopen wounds, her mother said quickly. Everyone sets under pressure. Mistakes were made. Mistakes? I asked. No. This was deliberate. You made a move. I made mine. Her father leaned forward. What do you want, Ben? An apology? Fine. We cetra sorry. I slid a black leather folder across the table, embossed with the logo Laurel House. Saturday. Original wedding date. Private estate. Fully staffed, catered, secured. He opened it and froze. 185,000, I said. Upfront, non-refundable. That SIP's the price of recognition. Her mother blinked. What? You want your event back? Then it happens on my terms. My venue, my team. No more favors. No more hidden decisions. Celeste finally sat down. You sit you're serious. I nodded. Completely. She looked to her dad. Can we even afford that? He was already shaking his head. This is extortion. No, I said firmly. This is business. One you stir no longer running. My wife stayed silent, still watching me. Her mother put a hand on her chest. Did instead care, I interrupted. You took what you needed and assumed I stay quiet. I did instead. Celeste opened the folder again, studying the photos of Laurel House, the cliffs, the terrace, the private suites. Why now? She asked. Why push it this far? I met her eyes. Because I own the stage you want to stand on, and I sit done pretending I don't sit. Silence filled the room. Then Celeste spoke softly but firmly. I set like to see Laurel House. Her father's face fell. Her mother looked stunned. But it was decided. The shift had happened. Celeste took the folder, not as a relative, but as a client. The story had changed. I gave them the full tour like I would any client. No small talk, no soft edges. Just professionalism. Doors opened, lights came on, and the unspoken message was clear. You're standing in my world now. Laurel House sat on 3 acres above the coastline. White stone, iron details, quiet wealth. The kind my in-laws always claimed to appreciate. My team was already in place. Good morning, Mr. Kerr, said Lucas, head of estate operations. Conference room is prepped for AV kitchen, confirmed for tasting at 12:30, and legal SEPs cleared the Crescent permit. Thanks, Lucas, I said, continuing forward. My wife walked beside me, silent but observant. They all saw it now, what I'd built while they underestimated me. I took a quick call from acquisitions. If the property line's wrong, we walk. No fiction. Get corrected. GIS by Friday. Then hung up and turned back to them. Her father looked around, impressed despite himself. The best, I said simply. Her mother trailed her fingers along a hallway table. Is this custom? Everything in this house is custom. I left them to explore the atrium, to take it in, let them feel the size of what they'd dismissed. When they returned 15 minutes later, they were quieter, more respectful. Her father finally said, "We underestimated you." I met his eyes. "No, you ignored me." He didn't instead argue, just nodded, slowly. My wife looked like she wanted to speak, but held back. I didn't push her. Respect isn't given, it's earned. Sometimes it has to be taken. On the wedding day, I stayed in the background. No tux, no spotlight. Just an earpiece and clipboard, managing operations like any other event. Everything went flawlessly. Catering, DJ, florals, all perfect. My staff moved like a machine. By the time guests arrived, the place looked picture perfect. My in-laws pulled up around 4, dressed with careful composure. Her mother approached me, smoothing her dress. "Everything looks beautiful," she said softly. "It was planned that way," I replied. She glanced toward my team, my assistant giving directions, the catering lead reviewing plates. "All of these people they sit are yours." I nodded. "Aaron, director of events. Manny, logistics. Angela, client experience." She shook each of their hands, eyes shifting from faces to badges, finally realizing this wasn't luck. It was structure. Inside, the ceremony went smoothly. Guests mingled, music played, and I stayed out of sight. My name wasn't on the program. My seat wasn't up front. It didn't matter. I was in control. During the toasts, Celeste stood and lifted her glass. "Most people don't see what happens behind the scenes," she said. "But I do. And I wouldn't be here today without Ben." The room went still. Then applause filled the space. Full, genuine. For the first time, they recognized me. At our own wedding, her parents had treated me like an accessory. But now they clapped. My wife reached over and squeezed my hand. "You okay?" "I will be," I said, watching Celeste and her husband take their first dance. A month later, Sunday dinner was at our house. My terms, my schedule. Simple meal. Grilled steak, roasted potatoes, local wine, no caterers, no staff, just me cooking. They arrived on time. No snide remarks, no tension. We ate under the patio as the skyline turned orange. Halfway through dinner, her dad asked, "You still holding properties in Texas?" 17 units in Dallas, 4 under review near Austin, I replied. He nodded. Strong growth there. His tone was different. Calm, genuine. My wife caught my eye from across the table and mouthed, "I'm proud of you." After dessert, her sister showed me a message on her phone. "I'll never forget what you did. Thank you." I nodded once and handed it back. No words needed. They helped clean up afterward, her mom drying dishes, her dad taking out the trash. It felt different, humble, like they finally understood whose home they were in. No one mentioned the wedding. They didn't have to. The silence said enough. I still kept my boundaries. Separate accounts, no open checkbooks. They could share my table, but not my control. Success didn't buy their love. It earned me peace. That was enough. Later that night, after everyone left, I stepped onto the patio alone. The air was cool, the city lights alive. I looked out at the skyline, the buildings I financed, the deals I built. It was mine. And this time, so was my voice.